Hello, my name is Daniel Gautreaux. We're going to discuss line of scrimmage mechanics, items that pertain to 5, 6, and 7-person crews. Just before we get started, a little bit about myself. This will be my 20th year officiating football out of the Lafayette Area Football Officials Association. I've been fortunate enough to work 13 years at the collegiate level, and I've worked multiple positions. I've worked downfield, I've worked on the line of scrimmage, and I've worked as a referee. So I'm able to bring a lot of my experiences, tips, and other items that I've picked up from officials I've worked with around the state and around the country. While this format is new for many of us, I still think we can use this as a valuable teaching tool to work to improve as line of scrimmage officials throughout the state. So we're going to begin with a little short PowerPoint presentation with some slides, just to kind of talk about items like pre-snap routine, running plays, passing plays, goal line plays, and just some helpful hints to kind of get us through our officiating ball game. So here we go. Let's pull up the slideshow. Again, topics we're going to cover today are pre-game, pre-snap routine, running plays, passing plays, goal line plays, and some helpful hints. Following this slideshow, we'll take a look at some different video to kind of reinforce some of these topics. All right, pre-snap routine, pre-game. These are items that we're going to do when we arrive at the field, between 30 and 60 minutes prior to the game. Let's use this time as a working period. I know sometimes it's tough. You get to the field, you maybe visit, you sign paperwork, you do what you got to do. But let's use this time as an opportunity for us to kind of, do some of our duties, but also see some snaps. So line judge, head linesman, you do have some particular duties to do before the game. One thing that's important is to inspect the field. We want to make sure that all of, if there's any holes near the sidelines, any maybe track equipment that needs to be covered. We want to, work with our crewmates to make sure that everything's okay. Head linesman, this is probably the most important thing you'll do pregame, is find that chain crew. Find them as soon as you can. You want to talk to them. The first thing they'll say is when you meet with them is that, we've been doing this for 25 years here at Lafayette High School. Well, you want to make sure that they understand that they're part of the team that night, that they're there to help us, to make sure that, we're not going to miss it down. We're not moving it too early, and just whatever you say normally, to try and continue to do that, but to make sure to understand that they're part of the team and that they're there to help us that night. One thing I can't stress to you enough is to make sure that it's an adult chain crew. There's nothing worse than, as a head linesman, than to see that football player who's wearing his practice jersey because he's injured that night, walking across the field to work the down box. In my opinion, I wouldn't get a game started unless I had a 4-person adult chain crew. Finally, the last little bullet point is see some snaps. This is critical, in my opinion. And by see some snaps, we all know the last portion of each team's pregame warm-up is they're going to run some plays, either 11 on 0, 11 on air, or maybe they'll do a little thud with 11 on offense, 11 on defense. Use that time to check out their alignments. Is this team a shotgun team? Are they going to line up 3 and 4 wide receivers on each play? How do their tackles line up? If those tackles are back off the ball in pregame, chances are they're going to start the game, with those tackles, hell, even those guards off. So that's a good time to maybe move them up, making sure that their head's going to break the center point of the snapper's waist. But again, use that pregame time as a working period for us to get us prepared to work the ball game. All right, guys, pre-snap routine. A pre-snap routine is something that you do every single time between downs to get you ready to work the next down. I think the average high school game is about 140 to 160 plays. During the game, each play takes about 8 seconds to run from the time the ball snapped till the time the runner's down. So the actual time we're working is not a lot. It's about 11 minutes of actual football action. The rest of the time is downtime. But we need to use, again, just like we said in pregame, let's use that downtime as a working period. And a pre-snap routine or a pre-snap checklist will get us prepared to work the next down. So here's an example of what I would do as a pre-snap routine if I was going to work a line, line judge on a particular night. The first little bullet point, guys, is for a 5-person crew. As a line judge, you want to count the defense with the back judge. It'll come back to bite a crew every year. I think in each association where you let the defense, run a play with 11 guys on the field. It's tough sometimes for the line judge, because you are worried about a few things and you don't always have a great look. But let's not just signal just to signal. I think most associations now are using some type of wireless communication. You can communicate through the O2O, saying I have 11, but I still think giving a visual signal is important. The next thing we want to do is we want to know your line to gain, know the down and distance. If it's 2nd and 8, I want to know, where the line to gain is. That'll really help your referee. All he has to do is look at you as a line judge. We're going to go ahead and point. I got a first down. Come in, stopping the clock, and then we get the clock moving and we get the game going. But you got to know your line to gain every down. 3rd and 6, he's got to get to the 45. It'll make your game a lot easier. We want to check the formation, and we do that by counting the backfield. Each kind of group will have their own little signals. They might mark the widest guy off by extending their hand backwards. They might say, I have 2 guys off or whatnot. Whatever you do, let's just make sure that we're consistent with the official across the field from us. But counting the backfield, making sure I have no more than 4 players in the backfield will help in your pre-snap routine. That should take you right up into the snap. And then at the snap, you should use the tackle on your side of the field to tell you if it's going to be a pass play or if it's going to be a running play. And, that'll help you kind of give you an idea of what's coming. If that tackle is going to fire out, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a run play. If the tackle's going to back, if he's going to drop in his stance, if the foot that's facing you is going to drop back, that's going to tell you that it's going to be a pass play. And that'll really help you kind of anticipate possible things that are going to happen. Again, knowing these or having a pre-snap checklist just like this, each down as a line judge, will definitely get you going in the right direction. All right, as a head linesman, very, very similar to the pre-snap routine of the line judge, with one big difference. And that's, you're the person responsible as the head linesman for managing the change and managing the chain crew that night. We got to make sure that we start that play with the correct down. I would always turn my head and to see the down marker flip, because I wanted to see it with my own 2 eyes. While we'll say that getting the right down is the crew's responsibility, at the end of the day, take great pride as a head linesman of making sure you have the correct down. I just can't stress it enough. If you're not sure, let's not let that play off. If you have 2nd down on your finger and for some reason the down box has 3rd, let's not let the play get off. Let's stop it. Let's talk about it as a crew and see if we can't figure it out. Again, we want to know the line to gain, know the down and distance. One thing you don't want to do as a head linesman, though, is you don't want to keep turning your head back to check the chains. If it's 3rd and 4 and it's close to a 4-yard gain, and let's say you forget that the line to gain was the 41, we don't want to turn back to stop the clock. We want to make sure we're keeping our eyes on the players, and knowing the line to gain, knowing the down and distance prior to the snap will help prevent that. check the formation. We want to count the backfield, and we'll show some video about counting the backfield in a minute. Know your key. Know your key. If you're the head linesman in a seven person crew, the back judge is going to shade to the line judge's side. So if there's double, which means there's 2 receivers on each side, and you're the head linesman, you're going to take the second person in. If there's trips to your side, you're going to take the second receiver in. Backs in the backfield, and we could spend a lot of time going over knowing your keys. But use your mechanics manual to understand keys, and really keys kind of a term that's kind of we're moving away from. We're looking at more of responsibilities at the snap. Certain guys, I guess IRS is something that scares all officials. But we want to know your key, know your responsibility at the snap. Again, we're reading the tackle, and then we're officiating the play. All right, running plays. Again, reading the tackle. That tackle fires forward. We have a running play. Because if that tackle fires forward and they throw the ball, well, then we have some other set of issues in terms of ineligible players downfield. But read the tackle. And this is important. And again, it's tough to demonstrate not in person, not on the field. But, we'll do our best under this situation. But we want to shuffle with the sideline until you have to run. So what that means is I want to keep my shoulders square with the sideline. It helps keep my field of vision open until I have to turn and run. So, again, that's a feel. Everybody's going to be different. Some guys are faster than others. Some guys are more athletic than others. Some guys might have to turn and run a little bit sooner. Some guys will be able to stay in a shuffle as long as they can. But again, you have to determine that based on your ability. We don't want to officiate the football. The football is not going to foul. We want to work to look out in front of the play, checking out blocks and things like that. But I know it sounds elementary, but we don't want to officiate the football. We want to make sure that we work to give the ball carrier all that he's gained. That means we want to work with forward progress. Forward progress is a lot of it's a feel. It's going to be, the runner as far as they've advanced before they begin to be driven back. Again, though, if the runner's driven back and he's not down, and you haven't ruled him down, and he breaks free, then his forward progress is not going to be at that furthest point. It's going to be where he broke free and then where he was tackled. Forward progress is something that, as a line of scrimmage guy, you'll progress as you get better, the more snaps you see. But the main thing is let's make sure we give the ball carrier all that he's gained. We want to work with our cross-field partner. And what that means is we want to mirror each other's spots. Nothing looks worse to a coach on film than to have one line of scrimmage official mark the runner a yard beyond the line of game, and the guy across the field, mark him one yard behind the line of game. Well, how do we get that? One is trusting your partner. I know some associations throughout the state work crews, and if you're fortunate enough to work in a crew like that, you're working across from the same guy each week. You start to develop a little chemistry, right? Knowing that the runner that sometimes they have the better look, even if it's across the field. Sometimes you're working across from a different guy, and it takes a little while to kind of get that chemistry. But we want to work together. We don't want to make it a pride thing where it becomes a standoff where no one gives. They're all going to just work where they're not. Where they're across from, like they're not getting across. Rather, I'm not moving, he's not moving, and now we're making the umpires put the ball in the middle. Work with your cross-field partner to make sure that we're mirroring each other's spots. And then we want to make sure we keep our head up once the ball becomes dead, especially with the runner going to the boundary, going out of bounds. We want to turn, we want to pivot, we want to face out of bounds. Give our nice concise signals by killing the clock, but keep our head up. There's nothing worse than looking down as a line of scrimmage official because, hey, I'm looking down, that spot's not moving. Guess what? That spot's not moving. We don't have to be super precise on spots. We're not taking a protractor out there and saying, oh, he went out of bounds at the 44 and 1/3 yard line. But we want to keep our head up, keep our head on a swivel, make sure that we're good dead ball officials. All right, passing plays. Again, we talk about knowing your key. That's a big part of your pre-snap routine. And remember, it will change based on the formation. And we'll talk about that when we look at our series of plays following the slides. But it's very, very important you know your key. 7-man crew sure does help out on knowing your keys. 5-person crew for those associations. I know Lafayette, they work predominantly 5-man crews up until the playoffs. You have a key at the snap, but we're going to go ahead and, we're going to switch to zone right away where we're just going to pick up wherever we kind of feel the ball's going. We're going to read the tackle. Again, the tackle drops back. It's a pass play. 9 out of 10, maybe it's a draw, but going to be a pass play. And we don't want to be a rush to get downfield. You can see from where you're at, it's tough if they're going to if you rush downfield, they throw a ball behind you, and now you're officiating for your life to get out the way, and you're not officiating the play. We want to make sure that we rule on forward and backwards passes, and this is going to be, this is kind of standard, whether it's a 5, 6, or 7-person crew. We want the line judge to rule on all forward or backwards or passes, and we do that by simply punching forward if I have it forward, punching it backwards if I have it backwards, and if there's any doubt, let's go ahead and rule it forward to prevent any cheap fumbles. But we want to put that responsibility on the line judge to rule forward or backwards. So that means head linesmen, umpires, referees. You see a ball coming out and you see it rolling and we don't have a whistle, we're going to go ahead and assume that it's backwards and that it's a live ball. So again, we'll put that responsibility on the line judge to make sure that it's forward or that it's backwards. All right, goal line. So when the ball is on the 7, okay, when the ball is on the 7, the wing officials are responsible for the goal line. In a 5-person crew, that's not exactly 100% correct. The mechanics manual will say the 10 and in, because inside the 10, the back judge will go to the in line. I'll just say this, though. Unless you're real fast, you're going to shuffle to the goal line at the 10 and then shuffle back. You're not going to officiate. The rule of thumb I like to use is the 7 in. And again, that can be consistent from 5, 6, and 7. And by that, we mean when the ball is on the 7 and in, at the snap, you're moving to the goal line. Regardless if it's a 2-yard run, you're going to go to the goal line and work back. And we'll actually show some plays shortly about that. This is very important, guys. When the ball is down near the goal line, we want you to sprint in to sell your spot. We want to sell that spot. We want to run till we're threatened. If there's a tight end that's on the ground, we don't hurdle them or things like that. But we want to work hard, come in, sell our spot. And we always want to run in the field of play. So if it's one of those tight spots near the goal line, we run in the field of play. We have to dig for the ball. Then we can go up and signal touchdown. But very, very important, sell your spots near the goal line. Be decisive. And, sometimes we'll work with our umpire. I know the umpires, if they have the ball in the end zone, they might tug their whistle. Obviously, they'll never signal touchdown. But what they're selling you in that case is that they have the ball in the end zone, and it's up to the line of scrimmage guys to determine if the knee was down prior to the ball crossing the end zone. All right, here's some helpful hints that I do. Again, there'll be other line of scrimmage officials at all level that'll say they'll see this first bullet point and they will say you shouldn't do that. My advice to you as a line of scrimmage official is start the play with the whistle in your mouth. Again, there's going to be guys, there's guys in the state, there's guys I've worked with at all levels that say that is incorrect because you're going to have an inadvertent whistle. Well, I also work basketball where we work with the whistle in our mouth the whole time, and we don't have inadvertent whistles in basketball. So the reason why I start with the whistle in my mouth when I'm working the line of scrimmage, is I want to shut down all dead ball fouls right away. If I have a tackle move, I don't want to, fidget for my whistle. I know some guys will hold their whistles, right at their chest. I just never felt comfortable with that. So I work with the whistle in my mouth. I actually work the hold down with the whistle in my mouth. I know there's a lot of guys who will spit it out at the snap. You have to do whatever makes you feel comfortable. I would say work some sub-varsity games, trying different styles. Some guys use finger whistles. But try it in games of less importance. I wouldn't walk out week one of the high school season and try the different stuff. Try it differently with different styles. Get it done, scrimmages, jamborees, sub-varsity games until you feel comfortable. Remember, the whistle does not kill the play. I know for a long period of time, even whenever I started officiating 20 years ago, coaches would always tell their players, play to the whistle, play to the whistle. Well, we understand as officials that playing to the whistle might result in something that happens once the ball carrier is down. If you don't see leather as an official, let's not blow the whistle. So just because we have a knee down doesn't mean we want to start tweeting on the whistle. If there's any umpires or if there's any referees out here listening or watching today, guys, don't blow the whistle. Leave it up to the line of scrimmage, guys. I think it's important that you have a whistle on every play, but that whistle can be a second or two after they're down. See leather, see ball in possession. We have a whistle. We have a dead ball signal to put our hand up to start the 40-second clock. But remember, the whistle doesn't kill the play. All right, get involved in penalty administration. And what I mean by that is we want to have a series of checks and balances with our umpire. Normally, the line judge will mark off. The head linesman will mark off the penalty with the line judge, and they'll use a set of signals. I've worked with different crews, and they've said different things. They might do 1, 2, 3 for 5, 10, 15, half the distance. Some will just do 5 and 10, but most use 1, 2, or 3. The head linesman is going to actually mark that off with the umpire. Then the line judge, once those two officials have marked it off, will double check. Let's make sure that we're doing that. Umpires aren't perfect. None of us are perfect. There's a great series of checks and balances, as far as marking off penalties. And also getting involved in penalty administration means getting information to the coach on your sideline. We want to give the coach as much information as we can. Let's say you're working the visiting sideline that night and you're the head linesman. The line judge has a hold on the tackle on his side. We can, use O2O to relay information, or during the next dead ball period, walk over there and say, hey, what was your hold on 77? The coach wants to know. But that's all part of getting involved in penalty administration. The 85% rule. For years, the NFL has done studies on fumbles. 85% of the time when the ball squirts out, it's a fumble. Now, I'm not telling you that every time the ball comes out, it's a fumble because it's 85%. But I like to throw that out there to say that, 8.5 times out of 10, when the ball comes out, it's a fumble. Again, we want to make sure that before we have a whistle, we have a player in possession with a body part down. All right, helpful hints. Have a professional relationship with your sideline, guys. We want to make sure that we answer questions. We want to make sure that we address them in yes, sir. And I know that's tough because there's people over there that they'll yell, they'll scream. They're hot. We want to be the calming presence on the sideline. We want to make sure that we answer questions from coaches. I know for years we would say, we're not going to talk to assistant coaches. Well, I'll just tell you this: if an assistant coach has a question, let's answer it, because one day that offensive coordinator at that high school or that defensive coordinator at a high school, they're going to be a head coach at another school, and they're going to remember which officials treat them with respect. And which officials didn't. I'm not going to talk to that assistant that night. But again, we want to make sure we answer questions. We don't have to respond to statements. Your crew's terrible tonight. Well, That's not a question. Okay. Now, again, you don't want to have to answer. Why is this crew so terrible? But we want to make sure that we answer questions. We don't answer statements. All right, real quick, guys. These are just some fouls. This stat was from I think Conference USA in 2017 or 2018 about what fouls were called, and they're sorted by frequency. And if you look at the top, the top 3 fouls, false start, defensive offsides, illegal formations. Those are in the line of scrimmages, bread and butter. A lot of those are easier. It means that 6 of the 7 line of scrimmage fouls fall in the easier category. So if you're a line of scrimmage official, get the false starts, get the DOFs, get the illegal formations correct. Okay, get those correct, and your game will be a lot easier. So we're actually going to look at some of those plays coming up on some video. But again, fouls to focus on. Let's get those correct. The false starts, the DOFs, and the illegal formations. I just thought it was an interesting stat to throw out there. With the fouls that the line of scrimmage guys are making. All right, just a couple little axioms. And we talk about an axiom, it's just some tips, again, some helpful tips on some different stuff. We want quality fouls. See everything you call, but don't call everything you see. Let's not be too technical. That goes with formations and things like that. Let's warn when we can. Okay. Some of the stuff we've already covered about always, seeing the ball before you blow your whistle. We want to make sure that we're counting players every down. Excellent communication with coaches, and we always want to be as positive as we can with them. And this is a big one, guys. If you miss one, let's not look back, and we need to be ready to move on to the next play. Okay, so here we go. Let's take a look at some plays right now. We're going to look at first. We're going to look at some formations. Okay. Let me see if we can make sure it's running. This would be the biggest we can make it. But right here, we're looking at, first we'll count. Let's just go ahead and let's look at the formation before we go any further. This is a basic formation. We have 4 players in the backfield. We're always going to have the quarterback. We have a receiver who's off. We have 2 backs. So right here we know we have 4 players in the backfield, and this is a legal formation. All right. So the official at the bottom, will say that this is the line judge. He'll punch his hand back to signify he's got him off, and that'll make the headlinesman's job a lot easier. As you can tell, before we stopped it, we have a back that's starting to move. Okay. So this back is moving forward, and we see the receiver at the top was moving backwards. Now, technically, this is an illegal shift, but I'll say philosophy-wise, let's go ahead and let's make this a false start. Both guys are moving, and the reason we want to make this a false start is, nothing good is going to come out of this play. This quarterback's going to get hit. He's going to get hurt on a play that we could have shut down. We kind of like to use the term or the analogy, 50 drunks in a bar. Well, if 50 drunks in a bar are watching this, they'll all say that this is a false start. So when you can make something a false start, let's make it a false start. See here, the quarterback gets hit and whatnot, but here it's really 2 men moving at one time. But let's go ahead and let's shut this down and make it a false start. All right, number 2. All right, this is another one here where we have players moving all over the place. They're going to look to the sideline, which more and more teams are doing right now. They're checking, they're moving, and then now we're shifting. Technically, again, this is an illegal shift. The receiver at the top didn't get set for 1 second, but you have to ask yourself, can we make this a false start? He's moving. It's pretty close to being set, but if we can, let's make it a false start. All right, here we go. Looking at another formation right here. Again, we have guys moving. We have a back in the backfield going down, and this tight end in motion, or this receiver coming across, doesn't get set. We don't want to be overly technical, but this is a foul, and it really should have been called. Okay. Well, here's another interesting play right here. The team on offense is looking to go fast, but we want to let them play at the pace that they can. We don't have any substitution rules, but again, we're not going to be in a hurry to get the ball down and whatnot. But let's take a look at it's a potential DOF, defensive offsides, or a false start. Let's look at it once, and then we'll come back to it. So we're here, snaps, okay. Who moves first? Do we have any interior line move? Does the head bob by the center cause the defense to react? Again, referees, if you're looking, does the actions of the quarterback rise to the level of a false start? What's he doing all game? Let's run it. We'll run it back one more time to kind of see where we're at. We went too far. Does the quarterback's movement again rise to the level of a false start? It's tough to tell on one play, but there's some context, because look at the down and distance. It's 3rd and 4. Okay, I'll tell you this. This is in the third quarter right here. If that's the first time that quarterback has done that today, that's a false start. If he's done that every time, then it's not a false start. Actually, this is in the 4th quarter. Okay, but this is definitely something. If we're not going to make it a false start, the defender's in the neutral zone of the snap, so this should be shut down. But it's interesting to see. It's something to look at. That's one where we'll have to get together as a crew and then possibly talk about it. So we'll look at some other clips right now. These are plays. These are goal line plays with line of scrimmage officials. So we'll pull these up. If you notice, the ball snapped on the 1 right here. And if you look at the official at the top, the head linesman, or the official at the bottom, they're going to move to the line of scrimmage, to the goal line at the snap. So we'll look at it. They're at the goal line. Now we'll pause it right here. If you see this official's backing up, guys, when we're moving to the pylon, we don't need to straddle the pylon anymore. We want to move at a diagonal, and I'll be honest with you, this official here should have started here, and that would have put him in much better position to see the play. So we'll have a few different looks. I do like his mechanics. He's slow, he's deliberate, he's going to follow the players, but we would want him there already. I would be at the dotted line to give me a better look to see. It allows me to be still. My eyes aren't moving. No matter how far back I am, I still can see down the line. The days of those old school SEC officials straddling the pylon are over with. Okay, we want to work deeper as we can. And, look, I know how it is. You're working a big ball game, somewhere, and all of a sudden the cheerleaders are down here, the manager's down here, the pastor from the local church is down here, the mayor. Guys, they need to be back. They need to be off the field. They need to give you room to work, okay? So make sure we're deep, okay? But good poise by this official. He checks. He follows him out of bounds. He's slow. He's deliberate. And this isn't an easy play. It's what we call double action. And by double action, we mean, does the knee touch before the ball crosses? Sometimes the knee will touch, then they extend, and that's a double action play. But if we look at it again in multiple replays, especially this view right here, the ball extends and then the knee goes down. So that's a really good call by that official. All right, here we go again, guys. This is another play very similar to that one. Ball snapped on the 2-yard line. Look how tight this sideline is here. We have cheerleaders, we have cameramen, ball boys, guys, chain crew. Get them back. All right, get them off the field. We're here. Good poise. Again, good mechanics. This official, and we see from the first look, he knows he punches back. He signals he has a backwards pass. Okay. Again, good, slow, and deliberate. But I would start further back. Okay, look, watch right here. He punches. We have an option play. He punches there. You see the punch here. He has a backwards pass. It's good mechanics. Again, I would be deeper. I would back this down guy back. I would be deeper. Gives me a better look to see I'm not moving. Okay, especially if those guys are coming at you fast. But again, we have a ball out. Okay, the pylon, by him putting it on the inside of the pylon, we have a touchdown with the goal line extended. So really good job of officiating, of getting the call right. Again, I'd like for him to be a little bit further back. All right, guys. Now this is another interesting goal line play. We see the ball snapped at the 5, so we'll look at our mechanics of them getting to the goal line. This isn't one involving the pylon. This is a play in the center of the field. So we'll take a look at it. We run in the middle. Okay, we have him pushing. All right. This official does a pretty good job of coming into pressure. We notice he's in the field of play, which is a good job. And you can see we have a butt down, and then we have a reach of the ball. We get a good look from the next feed here. And again, we make these decisions in real time. But again, mechanically, we do the mechanics correctly. It puts us in the best spot to see. So we have a runner here. We notice his butt hits, then the ball comes out. That's a double action play, not with the knee, with the butt. But it's a really good job by this official. He comes, he sells his spot, he gets his hands up, he's decisive. And, again, another good view here, butt down, ball out. Again, we make these calls in real time, and they're not always this easy. All right, now this is a play right here, and this will be the last one we look at, and this is for 6 and 7 person crews. The ball snapped at the 20, so as line of scrimmage guys, this isn't the goal line's not our responsibility. In a 5-person crew, we have the goal line sideline to sideline when the back judge is working inside out. But let's take a look at their mechanics. Again, we have a backwards pass. We have a run here. We have a guy leaping. Okay, we have a player leaping. And if you notice, this deep wing does a decent job, except he's too close, guys. That's how you get a leg broken. He needs to start where this cameraman is, and that cameraman needs to be further back. As you can see, when this player leaps, he's moving. And when you move, your eyes bounce. Okay? He leaps, and he checks back. Okay? So line of scrimmage, guys, if you have the runner out of bounds, let's say he leaps from the 4, okay, you're going to have that out of bounds spot. You would run in, killing the clock. I have him out of bounds. We hope that when we're working with 7, that our deep guys are going to turn and look back. But we can't always count on that. But right here, they do a pretty good job of communicating. This line of scrimmage doesn't have him out of bounds, and then we signal touchdown. As you can see on the replay, it's a pretty good job. He's in bounds. We'll see a close-up of the right foot. He's in bounds. Okay. He leaps inside the pylon. He's turned, slow, deliberate. Again, we're moving here. I know I keep harping on that. Slow, deliberate, touchdown. Very, very tight play. Again, hopefully we all work on field. I know as more and more schools go to turf, we're working on turf, but good play. So we'll go ahead. We'll stop right here, guys. I want to thank you for your time. For this presentation on goal line mechanics, on line of scrimmage mechanics. And if you have any questions, if there's anything I can do to help you throughout the year, my contact information is actually on the LHSAA's website under the basketball assignment secretaries. Again, my name is Daniel Gautreaux. Feel free to reach out. I can send anything that we did in this presentation to you electronically. So thanks, and best of luck.